They say you can't choose who you fall for, but what if the person your heart wants is your boyfriend's brother? One dinner, one look, one moment that shattered everything Lena Carter thought she knew about herself. She walked into the DeLuca mansion expecting an ordinary family meal. Instead, she locked eyes with Victor, a man who would become her undoing. This is a story about desire that breaks all the rules, choices that destroy families, and a love so dangerous it could get her killed. Stick around until the end, hit that like button, and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. The rain came down in sheets that Wednesday evening, turning Chicago's streets into rivers of reflected neon. Lena Carter sat in the passenger seat of Adrian DeLuca's Mercedes, watching the city blur past her window, her stomach tight with nerves she couldn't quite name. "You're quiet," Adrian said, glancing over at her. His smile was easy, the kind that had made her say yes to coffee 6 months ago. "Nervous?" "A little." She tucked a strand of dark hair behind her ear. "Meeting the family it's a big deal. They're going to love you." His hand found hers across the console. "My mom's been asking about you for weeks, and my sister Rosa. She's dying to meet the woman who finally got me to settle down." Lena managed a smile, but the knot in her stomach didn't loosen. It wasn't that she doubted Adrian. He was good to her, patient, attentive, the kind of boyfriend who remembered she liked her coffee with oat milk and always texted when he'd be late. Safe. Predictable. Everything her last relationship hadn't been. So why did she feel like she was driving toward something she couldn't take back? The DeLuca estate sat behind iron gates in Lincoln Park, the kind of house that made Lena's modest yoga studio look like a storage closet. 3 stories of stone and glass, windows glowing warm against the storm. Adrian punched in a code and the gate swung open with mechanical precision. "Home sweet home," he said, pulling into a circular driveway already crowded with expensive cars, a black Range Rover, a silver Audi, a motorcycle that looked like it cost more than Lena's annual rent. "Your family likes their toys," she murmured. "Wait until you meet them. The cars are the least interesting part." Inside, the house smelled like garlic and red wine, and something else Lena couldn't identify. Old money, maybe, or just the weight of history. Marble floors, oil paintings that looked original, a chandelier that belonged in a museum. A woman appeared from what must have been the kitchen, wiping her hands on an apron. She was small, 50s, with Adrian's same dark eyes and a smile that crinkled at the corners. "Finally!" She pulled Lena into a hug before she could react. "I was starting to think Adrian made you up. I'm Maria. Come. Everyone's in the dining room arguing about politics like civilized people." Lena let herself be swept along, Adrian's hand warm on her lower back. The dining room was enormous, a table that could seat 20, though tonight only 5 places were set. A man who had to be Adrian's father stood at the head, gray-haired and sharp-eyed. A young woman, Rosa probably, was scrolling through her phone, looking bored. And then there was the empty chair. "Where's Victor?" Maria asked, frowning. "Running late," Rosa said without looking up. "Shocking, I know." "He said he'd be here," Maria insisted. Adrian's father, Antonio, Lena remembered, waved a dismissive hand. "He'll show up when he shows up. Let's not wait. I'm starving." They settled around the table. Maria brought out dish after dish, pasta and red sauce, chicken that fell off the bone, bread still warm from the oven. The conversation flowed easily around Lena, the family clearly used to filling silence with words. Antonio asked about her studio, his questions polite but probing. Rosa wanted to know if she taught hot yoga, because she'd tried it once and nearly passed out. Lena was starting to relax, starting to think maybe this wouldn't be so bad, when the front door opened. She heard it before she saw him, footsteps in the hallway, measured and unhurried. Then he appeared in the doorway, and everything stopped. Victor DeLuca was nothing like his brother. Adrian was handsome in an approachable way, clean-cut, friendly, the guy you'd trust with your secrets. Victor was something else entirely. Taller, broader in the shoulders, with dark hair that was just slightly too long, and eyes that seemed to catalog everything in a single glance. He wore a black shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms marked with scars Lena couldn't help but notice. He looked dangerous, like he'd been somewhere Lena had never been and done things she couldn't imagine. "You're late," Maria said, but there was no real heat in it. "Traffic." His voice was lower than Adrian's, rougher around the edges. Then his gaze shifted to Lena, and she felt it like a physical thing, a weight, a question, a challenge. For 3 seconds, that felt like 3 hours, they stared at each other. Lena's heart kicked against her ribs. Her mouth went dry. Somewhere in the back of her mind, a warning bell started ringing, but she couldn't look away, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but sit there while something nameless and terrifying unfurled in her chest. "Victor," Adrian said, standing, "this is Lena." "Lena, my brother Victor." Victor's expression didn't change. He nodded once, a movement so slight it barely qualified as acknowledgement, then took the empty seat across from her. "Nice to meet you," Lena managed, hating how her voice sounded. Too high, too breathless. "Likewise." He reached for the wine bottle, poured himself a glass, and took a drink without breaking eye contact. The meal continued, but Lena barely tasted the food. She was too aware of Victor's presence across the table, the way he listened more than he spoke, the way his gaze kept drifting back to her when he thought no one was watching. Or maybe he didn't care if anyone was watching. "So, Lena," Rosa said, leaning forward with sudden interest, "how'd you and Adrian meet? He's been super secretive about it." "Yoga class," Adrian answered before Lena could. He squeezed her knee under the table. "I threw out my back doing something stupid at the gym, and my doctor recommended trying yoga. Walked into Lena's studio, took one look at her, and forgot why I was there." Maria laughed. "Love at first sight?" "Something like that." Adrian's smile was genuine, unguarded. He really believed it. Lena felt something twist inside her. "And you?" Victor's voice cut through the warmth like a blade. "Was it love at first sight for you too?" Everyone turned to look at her. Adrian was still smiling, expectant. Maria looked delighted. Even Rosa had put down her phone. But Victor's eyes held something else. A test. A dare. "I thought he was sweet," Lena said carefully. "Clumsy, but sweet." "Sweet," Victor repeated, like he was tasting the word and finding it lacking.